Have you ever wondered why, despite all our efforts to improve, we still feel unsatisfied? Many people spend their lives chasing knowledge and external successes, wearing themselves out physically and mentally, only to end up feeling unhappy. The ancient Taoists observed that this struggle often goes against the natural order, making things worse instead of better. According to their teachings, the rules, values, and ethics we create to improve ourselves actually pull us away from the natural flow of life. It's like trying to swim against the current, exhausting and pointless. In this video, we're going to explore the idea of not trying, and how embracing a more effortless approach to life can lead to a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. From the Taoist concept of wu-wei or non-doing, to how our endless striving often works against us, we'll dive into the ways in which letting go might be the key to living a happier, more balanced life. Keep watching as we explore the unexpected benefits of letting go and not trying to control everything. The Taoists believed in something called the Tao, which is an invisible force that guides everything in the universe. Even though we can't fully understand it with our minds, we can sense that it's there, working behind the scenes. The problem is, humans often try to make sense of things by giving them names and labels. We create categories and ideas to explain what's beyond our understanding, but in doing so, we limit ourselves. Lao Tzu, an ancient Taoist sage, explained this in his book Tao Te Ching. He said that when we focus too much on specific things like colors, sounds, or tastes, we might learn more about them, but we also miss out on the bigger picture. The same thing happens when we create strict rules and moral codes for how life should be lived. While they give us a sense of control, they also box us in, keeping us from seeing life in its natural, ever-changing state. In trying to control everything, we end up restricting ourselves, making life harder than it needs to be. The idea of trying too hard is where many of us get stuck. You've probably heard people say it's better to just act without pushing yourself too much. This is similar to being in a flow state, where you're so focused and involved in what you're doing that it feels natural and effortless. Taoists have a term for this called wu-wei, which means non-doing. It doesn't mean doing nothing at all. It means doing things in a way that feels smooth and easy without forcing it. A lot of people think that if you're not constantly doing something, you're being lazy or unproductive. But the Taoists see it differently. They believe that the universe is always moving forward naturally. So trying to force things to happen often just tires us out and makes things harder. Instead, they suggest that we take smart actions by letting things flow and unfold on their own, because many times this leads to better results with less effort. It's about working with the natural flow, not against it. When we push ourselves too hard to become better or to fix the world around us, we often end up creating more problems instead of solving them. Taoists notice that people usually chase things like money, fame, or fitting in with others, thinking that these things will make them happy. But by constantly striving for these goals, we can end up feeling tired, stressed, and unfulfilled. Take the example of wealth and poverty. Taoists understood that they're two sides of the same coin. If everyone is rich, then wealth loses its value. The same goes for loneliness and companionship. One can't exist without the other. Trying to erase poverty or loneliness entirely may seem like a good idea, but it's like trying to erase night so there's only day. It just doesn't work that way. By forcing our own ideas onto nature and trying to control everything, we sometimes create outcomes that aren't what we expected or wanted. Taoists believed that when we let go of trying to control everything, we allow things to balance themselves naturally. This doesn't mean we should never try to improve ourselves or help others. It means we should recognize the limits of our control and allow life to unfold as it should. Sometimes, the best thing we can do is step back and trust that things will work out, without overcomplicating or overstressing ourselves. Applying Taoist wisdom to our modern lives shows us how often we exhaust ourselves trying to improve the world, only to feel disappointed with the results. Alan Watts, a popular scholar of Taoism, pointed out that when people try to save the world, or make it better according to their own ideas, they can sometimes cause more harm than good. Their good intentions may lead to problems because they force their own sense of right and wrong on others. A clear example of this is the history of communism. While the original goal of communism was to create a fair and equal society, where everyone shared resources and there was no rich or poor, in practice things turned out differently. Many leaders imposed harsh rules, and in their effort to create this perfect society, they ended up causing suffering and violence instead. This shows how even the best intentions can backfire when we try to control things too much. Another example of how trying too hard can backfire is when you're chasing after a dream job or a big promotion. Many people have experienced the stress of obsessing over landing their dream position, pouring all their energy into it, and doing whatever it takes to make it happen. This might involve working long hours, constantly worrying about impressing the right people, or even sacrificing personal time and well-being to get ahead. However, in trying too hard, people can sometimes become too fixated and end up losing their balance. They might overwork themselves to the point of burnout, or their efforts might come off as too forceful or desperate, which can negatively affect their performance or relationships at work. Instead of moving closer to the goal, this excessive effort can push it further away. Taoists would suggest that instead of forcing things, it's better to focus on doing your best without the constant pressure of needing to control the outcome. Sometimes, by allowing things to unfold naturally, doing your work well, maintaining a good balance between effort and rest, you may find that opportunities arise more smoothly. It's the idea that by not overdoing it, you can still reach your goals without unnecessary stress or frustration. Letting go of the need to control every detail can create space for better results in the long run. Taoist teachings highlight that our obsession with things like wealth, fame, or status is often the wrong path to happiness. While these goals might bring short-term satisfaction, they don't provide lasting happiness or peace. For example, getting a raise or earning recognition at work can feel exciting at first, but the feeling eventually fades, and we start looking for the next big thing to chase. This endless cycle can leave us feeling unfulfilled, no matter how much we achieve. What the Taoists suggest is that real, deep happiness comes from accepting life as it naturally unfolds, without constantly pushing for more or trying to control every outcome. Instead of focusing on what we don't have or what we think will make us happy, they advise that we embrace the present moment and appreciate what life already offers. This doesn't mean we should stop pursuing goals altogether, but rather that we shouldn't tie our happiness to them. By accepting life's ups and downs and going with the natural flow, we can reduce stress and find a sense of contentment that's much more sustainable. Happiness, from this perspective, is not something to be forced or chased. It's something that comes when we learn to let go and be in tune with life as it is. The Taoists emphasize that when we try to be something we're not, we create unnecessary stress in our lives. For example, just like the animals in the Zhuangzi stories who envy each other's unique traits, many people feel pressure to change themselves to fit into society's standards. This might mean altering how we look, the jobs we pursue, or even how we behave to meet others' expectations. However, when we force ourselves to fit a mold that doesn't reflect our true selves, we disrupt the natural balance of who we are. Each of us has unique qualities and strengths that make us who we are, and accepting those traits can lead to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Instead of trying to be someone else or fit in with a certain image, embracing our individuality allows us to contribute our true selves to the world. When we stop comparing ourselves to others and instead appreciate our own qualities, we often find that we feel more at ease and confident. This acceptance can lead to deeper connections with others because we show up as our authentic selves. Plus, when we embrace who we really are, we can focus on our own growth and happiness, rather than feeling the pressure to conform. In conclusion, the Taoists encourage us to embrace the middle path. This means we should avoid overexerting ourselves and instead focus on staying balanced and true to who we are. By letting go of strict beliefs and allowing life to unfold naturally, we can find a sense of inner peace and happiness that lasts. When we accept ourselves and our place in the world, we not only create a more harmonious life for ourselves but also inspire those around us to do the same. Remember, true happiness isn't about chasing after external goals or trying to fit into a mold. It's about finding joy in simply being ourselves. So, let's take a step back, breathe, and appreciate the beauty of life as it is.